I'm here. We can start whenever required.
Yes, yes, sure. Okay. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another interesting program by ICC. Indian Chamber of Commerce is a premier body of business and industry in India, set up in 1925 by a group of pioneering industrialists. The chamber has been functioning efficiently in building meaningful synergies among the industry and government by addressing strategic issues of national significance. It has been instrumental in facilitating better commerce within the country. Today, we are focusing on our talk on recent budget released by our Finance Minister, Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman, and its impact on direct taxes. Our guest for today is Mr. Pramod Chandra Modi, Chairperson, Central Board of Direct Taxes, Government of India, and he'll be joined by Mr. Kamlesh Chandra Varshney, Joint Secretary, Central Board of Direct Taxes, Government of India, and ICC BFSI Committee Member for Western Region, Mr. V. Muralidharan, and Mr. Pallab Gupta, Chairperson of ICC Tax Expert Committee. May I request ICC Chairperson for Western Region, Mr. Ameya Prabhu, to please lead the discussion.
Thank you. Thank you, Ratish. And thank you, everyone. At the outset, I would like to welcome Shri Pramod Chandra Modi ji for agreeing to address this gathering. And we are very honored and privileged to have you, sir, to speak to ICC and our members. Also, Mr. Kamlesh Chandra Varshney ji, thank you so much for agreeing to be here along with the chairman, and also to the rest of the ICC committees and the rest of the ICC team. Thank you, everybody, for being here and speaking to us today. So the budget that was presented earlier this week was truly a path-breaking budget that our Honorable Finance Minister presented. I think it, as I said, it takes forward our Honorable Prime Minister's vision of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. But I think now that the budget has given so much faith and confidence both for the markets and people, so I think it's now Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, or Sabka Vishwas. I think there is belief now in the economy. There is renewed, animal spirits in the economy. I think the fact that one very interesting thing for me was that the fact that the budget in many ways actually was conservative. If you think about it, they were conservative on GDP growth rate projections. IMF has projected India to grow at almost 11.5% in real terms and almost 15.5% in nominal terms. But GDP growth rate was, looked at conservatively. Growth in expenditure next year looked upon conservatively. Even on the last quarter for 2021, tax collection was looked upon conservatively, even though we are having record tax collections going forward. I think the fact that while we have projected the economy to grow, the fact that we have still been conservative while doing that has been really welcomed by the market. And I think that is something which will definitely hold the government in good stead, will give them some leg room, and also for next year. And I think not only will both receipts as well as performance be as per budgeted, but in my expectation, it will far surpass how the what has been promised. And I think the fact that we have successfully overcome, or we are on track to successfully overcome COVID, the fact that today India has 155,000 odd active cases, which is even lower than countries such as Switzerland, Poland, with populations which are half the population, less than half the population of even Mumbai. Mumbai has 20 million people, Switzerland has hardly 8 million people, but they have almost 25% more active cases than India. I think showcases to a large extent that what the government has done has been successful in terms of managing the pandemic. And I think I definitely see a post-COVID boom coming in India. I think both we will definitely we'll get a healthcare dividend. The fact that we managed to keep things open, economy is going back to normal, and the booster dose provided by the government in terms of investments in railways, in metro, in roads, in infrastructure, in industries such as textiles, such as seaweed, which will create jobs on the ground, not increasing taxes, also has been looked upon very positively. Also, I think the fact that they are encouraging investors to come in. So I think it really is a Atmanirbhar budget. I think what people are misunderstanding Atmanirbhar, people misunderstand Atmanirbhar as being autarky, as in we don't want to on the contrary, Atmanirbhar means making yourself strong, making yourself not only making yourself self-sufficient, but also making yourself strong wherein you can build IP, you can create IP, you create yourself as a manufacturing and services hub, not only to meet the demand of your own domestic market, but also to meet global demand. And that is what Atmanirbhar really means. The fact that we become a center of excellence ourselves. And as they say, right, first our body and mind needs to be under our control. And once we control that, only then can we go and convince others about the efficacy of what we are doing. So that is what Atmanirbhar really means. Atmanirbhar does not mean autarky. Atmanirbhar means us strengthening ourselves and being able to be an export and service hub for the world. And that is what our Honorable Prime Minister wants to achieve. And on behalf of the ICC, and the Honorable Prime Minister addressed us in our last annual gathering. And we were very honored and privileged to have him there. And on behalf of the entire ICC and the Western region, I welcome the budget, and I believe that this will be the start of a great decade for Indian business. Of course, there will be hiccups on the way. If anyone says that everything is smooth sailing, life is filled with uncertainty and life is filled with hiccups. But I think the direction will certainly be positive. And I think the fact that there is a huge focus of the budget on healthcare, on sanitation, on the environment, I think no other country in the world has given a hydrogen mission the way India has. So that showcases the Prime Minister's commitment on climate change and the environment. So not only will we have a growth which is economically positive, but we'll also have a sustainable growth going forward. The fact that they gave so much money for SECI, for the Solar Energy Corporation of India as well, to promote renewable energy, power sector reforms, which were done in terms of giving distribution reforms, which were very important. So I thoroughly welcome the budget, and I do believe that this will be a budget which will lead us for sustainable growth, which looks upon human capital, human development, focused on the environment, yet focused on industry and creating and increasing the per capita income of all Indians. As I said, sabka saath, sabka vikas, and most importantly, sabka vishwas. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing the eminent speakers on our dais. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prabhu. May I request Mr. Pramod Chandra Modi to please deliver your keynote?
Thank you, Mr. Nair. We have had a number of meetings on the budget since last day when the budget was announced. And I'm happy to be associated to be part of this video conference with the ICC. This budget, as has been rightly said, that it is a forward-looking budget. It clearly gives or spells out the roadmap for the future, with the correct signals being given for the infrastructural growth and the growth in the social sector and the health sector as well. So far as direct taxes are concerned, I think 2-3 very notable points are there. To begin with, we can underline the basic concept that it has given a kind of a tax certainty to the taxpayers when the rates of taxes or the slabs of taxes did not undergo any change in any manner. That is quite a positive, and equally in line with this thing, that no new taxes have been proposed in this budget is also an indicator towards the tax certainty which was sought to be provided. Apart from this, what I can say is that for the small and medium sector enterprises also, there have been a couple of things which would be helpful to them. Say, in the case of requirement of audit, to help and medium enterprises and to promote digital transactions, the threshold limit for compulsory tax audit has been raised from the existing 5 crore to 10 crores, especially where the 95% of the transactions, both in terms of payment and receipts, conducted digitally. which is quite a huge jump, I would say, in terms of compliance burden, relieving the compliance burden. Secondly, the constitution of a dispute resolution committee. We kind of noticed that the smaller taxpayers or at the lower end of the tax-paying population, they did not have a mechanism, an alternative dispute resolution mechanism, whereby instead of following the regular appellate process, they could resolve their disputes amicably with the department. So this particular thing was also conceived. It's a very, very big step in trying to curtail the litigation and to settle the disputes, if at all, if they emerge with the department. It is meant for taxpayers with a returned income of return income of more than 50 lakhs, or where the variation proposed in the assessment is more than 10 lakhs, these are the thresholds which have been given, and it is purely on a voluntary basis. Of course, the search and seizure cases or the serious tax fraud cases have been excluded from the purview of this scheme. But essentially, this is one step in trying to resolve the disputes without resorting to the normal appellate channel. Apart from this, you would notice that last year we had unveiled the faceless assessment process. This year we have added faceless penalties and faceless appeal to the basket, which kind of brings in some sort of a clear-cut transparency, uniformity, consistency, and efficiency in our approach. Overarching theme with which we are working forward is to ensure that we can provide maximum and better taxpayer services to the taxpayers at large, and to ensure that they kind of discharge their tax obligations in a on a voluntary basis, in a clear and concise manner. And further to this, we have also tried to give the faceless feature to the appeals at the income tax appellate tribunal level also. So overall, if you were to see that we have made an attempt to ensure that the taxpayer get the services which he is entitled to, and to facilitate correct and proper filing of returns of income, we have increased the expanse and scope of the Form 26AS get converted into 26AIS, that is Annual Information Statement, which would contain details about the financial transactions which a taxpayer has undertaken during a given financial year, which would kind of be a kind of a checklist for the taxpayer to consider while filing the return of income. And it would also enable us to maybe pre-fill the returns of income in case the taxpayer confirms to those transactions. So all in all, I can say that whatever simplification was possible, we have attempted that both in terms of law and procedure. And overall, tax administration has been sensitized to be more responsive to the taxpayers, so that they feel motivated to not only voluntarily comply, but to be part of the system and discharge their tax obligations in a proper manner. I think from my side, those would be my introductory remarks. And in case any further questions are there, both me and Mr. Varshney would be available to answer those questions. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you. We do actually have a question, sir. We have a question from Mr. Sanjay Awad. The question says, what are the gender-based budget provision in 2021-22?
Kamlesh, can you respond?
Yes, sir. No, we do not have, from direct tax side, we do not have any proposal which is specific to a gender. So whatever proposals are there in the Finance Bill 2021, they apply to all individuals.
Okay. There's another question which says, what is the impact on salary class earning less than 10 lakhs annually?
So salary class as such, as was announced by the finance minister, there is no new tax. So there is no increase in tax liability this year for salary earner who has income up to 10. But let us try to understand this budget from other perspective. So it is not only direct tax, which is important for an individual, including a salary earner. There are a lot of emphasis on expenditure in this budget, which is expected to give strong stimulus for economic growth and creation of more job opportunities. So any salary earner who is in such a situation where he's earning 10 lakh rupees per annum, there would be more opportunities created for him and his other friends and colleagues. And once economy grows, each citizen of the economy gets the benefit. So there are provisions for the benefit of each and every section of the society. So in that sense, such an individual would hope to gain from the budget.
Thank you, sir. We'll wait for some more questions to come. In the meanwhile, may I request Mr. Pallav Gupta to please deliver a small speech.
Good afternoon, my distinguished panelists and all viewers, and of course, our respected chairman of the CBDT, Mr. PC Modi, and our respected Mr. Kamlesh Varshney. All said and done, this year's budget has been drawn up extremely well. I think it's been a very, very tough exercise this year, unusually tough because of the pandemic. And we have all been discussing actually how the FM and his team will really draw up, because the country was actually locked down for so many months in a year. It's such an unusual thing. And we have all been at home. And even I work for a big company, and we were all closed totally for virtually about 4 months. And factories were closed, transportation was affected, goods were not there in the marketplace. It was absolutely phenomenal. And it was not only for India, it was for the whole world. And I think in that context, everyone does appreciate, and I think we do really give you a really hearty clap for doing such a wonderful job, along with the finance minister and the team, sir. It's been a tremendous, tremendous exercise, and I think you will always cherish this years later. Some small observations here and there. It's not really for anything specific now, but just for your knowledge, sir. One is that from the economic side, there would be this feedback you will be getting about greater push to this consumer spending power. What has been done in this year's budget? I think this question is being raised But I do appreciate that the budget is not only one step that the government can do in this regard, and it can always be done through other measures like change in monetary policy, bigger lending from the banking sector, maybe some other small changes in the various taxes, especially in the GST rates as we go along. Because I think we have all been talking of the extremely complex tax structure we have in the country. And GST is one where I think we are all struggling even today. And our experience has not been too good. And even a neighboring country like Nepal, you have only one rate and an exempt rate. So maybe even if one puts a standard rate as 5% or 6% and has an exempted rate, it could be of great help. But I think that is not really I'm wanting to focus now. I think overall the budget has been extremely good. Just minor observations, sir. It's just for a hearing. I think there would be representations put up later on, and it has to be examined as we go along, sir. One is on the faceless tribunal system that we are talking of. Sir, the tribunal system in India is really a virtual judiciary. And in fact, this is the feedback I'm getting from all our councils, and they're very, very senior people. Now, when one argues in a courtroom, I think there is a certain process. Now, to really do an online hearing, one can accept where you know who are the judges. You can have outstanding counsels on both sides, whether the revenue side or on the SSA side, whatever be the issue, and they debate and questions are raised by the judges and one does respond. It's a very interactive and iterative process. But to switch over to a faceless system, sir, is something which is extremely difficult for the legal counsel to accept. I'm just giving this initial feedback. You will be hearing a lot of representations on this, sir. So just kindly keep an open mind on this, sir, because an assessment system is something which is really a dream, a faceless assessment system. I think we should really commend for that. But the switch over to a faceless court system, a tribunal, is extremely, debatable, I'm saying. I mean, people do ask for hearings and issues are raised even in the courtroom. Councils do check up with us and then they get back. So there are arguments and processes involved. So this request will come whether the party wants an option to have a totally faceless system where it's really a black box. You don't know who are the judges, what sort of iterative process they are doing, etc., etc. So that I think may have to be reconsidered, sir, as we go along. I mean, it's not really a CBDT decision, really. It would be an overall decision for the higher authorities. They'll have to examine this more closely, sir. So the second thing is that the stoppage of the Settlement Commission and the switchover of the advanced ruling system, I mean, to a income tax sort of setup, and then going for appeal by the income tax department against those decisions. Again, we have been actually going up and down on this. It's a very tricky area, sir. But again, this is something which is somewhat debatable, because if we are unable to get proper judges in the advanced ruling office, I think that is a separate issue, more of an administrative issue. But this is a huge, huge change to really close it down forever. So I think that again is an area which is being raised by a lot of legal people. The third thing is some of the changes in the income tax law. I fully support the changes. Let me tell you very categorically, it's a step in the right direction to stop unnecessary litigation. Whether depreciation on goodwill should be given or not, I think that is something which is being debated. There was a Supreme Court decision, but I think it's a very good thing that we are spelling out that this is the government's position. I don't think one can dispute that. One can take a view, but the point is a specific, clear position on this at least is being spelled out. In fact, we have been, over the years, I've been involved with the function for long. We have been saying that there should be a very good note on each of these changes and the background to it, so that in future, when a issue comes up, it can be very clearly decided. Now, the only thing which I can suggest, sir, is that nothing should be done retrospectively. We are going to implement it from the beginning of the COVID year, 1st April 2020. Now, my request is, sir, that it's been a very, very difficult year for Indian industry, and there has been a virtual closure during the lockdown period. Businesses have suffered, turnovers and profits under severe attack. Now, this is something that no change should be done from 1st April 20. If anything, it should be done from 1st April 21, sir. Not only for depreciation and goodwill, for any other change, sir. If possible, if that can be considered, that I think we will be representing separately for a kind consideration, sir. Now, the other thing is that there's been a tremendous response in the stock market. I think that has been a very positive commendation on the budget. I think that again is something which has not happened for so many years now. And I think everyone has been pleasantly surprised. And I think we can push the economy to greater success and growth as we go along. But one thing is certain, sir, that whatever issues continue, which is not addressed in the budget, we would request if especially for example on transfer pricing, all our consultants are asking us what should be the position, how to do a transfer pricing comparison, etc. I think the CBDT should come out with very clear guidelines and operating advices so that at least people and parties across the country can really follow that and can take advantage of whatever thoughts are there at the back of the mind of the revenue authorities, so that dispute is reduced as much as possible. In fact, the introduction of the dispute resolution system for small taxpayers is very good, sir. And I think it should be extended as we go along. I think to higher tax groups also. I think because everyone is fed up with litigation, sir. The government is fed up. The companies are fed up. In fact, sir, just for your knowledge, I've been working for a large company in Kolkata for years. And I remember in a conference in 1997-98, Vivek Debaroy was saying that the oldest legal decision in India, he was virtually quizzing us. He said it happened in maybe 600 years back in a Manmad, near Bombay, Nasik, Manmad, there on a land case. So this is the issue. I mean, no one wants very old decisions to come out after 20, 30, 40 years, sir. And I think we should cut down on litigation. And you all, I think, can be very aggressive, sir. And I think we will all support you from industry side to ensure that litigation is reduced to the maximum possible, sir. Thank you, sir. And we are extremely appreciative of your presence in these difficult time to give us a time slot in these just post-budget. And again, we thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Pallav. I do have a couple of more questions for Mr. Kamlesh. What is the impact on imports as per the budget 2021? Do you think the figures mentioned by Srimati Sitharaman anywhere near the ground reality?
Sorry, see, we belong to the direct tax side. Both chairman sir heads the direct tax side, and I am working in CBDT. Probably we are not the right people to answer this question on indirect tax.
Okay. What is the impact of interest on ATC deposit about 2.5 lakhs hereafter?
Yeah, so what is the situation is that so far, whatever is your contribution to employee provident fund, that is the contribution by the employee. Interest on that was always exempt without any limit. So you could have mandatory contribution, you could have voluntary contribution. Interest, government gives 8.5% interest, which is way above the market rate, and it is also tax-free, even beyond the mandatory contribution. So policy-wise, a call was taken that a limit should be put so that the high salary earners who are getting tax-exempt salary at such a high interest rate, which is subsidized by the central government, should be brought to tax. So the position now is, as per the proposal in the union budget, whatever is your contribution, 2.5 lakh, up to 2.5 lakh will be kept separate. Interest on that would be tax-free. And beyond 2.5 lakh in a year, interest on that would be taxable. whatever is your balance as on 31st of March 2021, interest on that will not be taxable. That will continue to be exempt.
Thank you, sir. May I request Mr. V. Muralidharan to please deliver your valedictory note?
Yeah, sure. Good evening, everybody. I wholeheartedly thank Shri Pramod Chandra Modi ji, Chairperson, Central Board of Direct Taxes, Government of India, for his valuable time and providing us the keynote address. In the midst of a very busy schedule, that critically at the time of post-Indian budget, which we hail, sir. Indeed, we all of us are really overwhelmed and honored and thankful to you, sir. Let me also thank Mr. Kamlesh Chandra Vaishnav ji, Joint Secretary, Central Board of Direct Taxes, for attending this meeting and also taking questions on board at a very, very short notice. Thank you very much, sir. I also thank our ICC West Region Chairman, Shri Ameya Prabhu, for providing his opening remarks in this meeting. I also thank Mr. Pallav Gupta, ICC member, Tax Expert Committee, providing his valuable inputs and thought process for the direct taxes to consider wherever necessary. Sir, as I am a member of the MSME sector and as Mr. Modi ji has revered a lot of positivity of the direct taxes. Sir, we really like your way of putting it up. Forward-looking budget, roadmap, direct taxes with positive outlook. Sir, what is the basic, what we all from the outside we saw from the budget is, this budget, not out of any isolation, is giving us a spurt in the economic growth. That confidence it has created, one. Number two, sir, it has very nicely and heavily respected honest taxpayers. And that is very critical for all of us when tax paying is concerned. And then you also have reduced the litigation process. These are the three takeaway points which we take from this budget from the direct taxes perspective. Last but not the least, I will fail in my duty if I do not thank the persons who are directly or indirectly involved in organizing this event, and also my great audiences who are virtually present all over the country. I like to end with the beginning of a quote from Chanakya. Karya Purushaha Karanena Lakshayam Sampayate. This is quoted every time, everybody, but this rightly means it very clearly. It means with determination of human efforts, the task will be surely completed. And anecdote of this Urdu is fantastically remembered by everybody. यकीन हो तो कोई रास्ता निकलता है, यकीन हो तो कोई रास्ता निकलता है, हवा की ओत लेकर चिराग भी जलता है, हवा की ओत लेकर चिराग भी जलता है. Here the hawa is the budgetary trends, the chirag is what they call the Indian spirit what we have, and jalta hai is the growth that is going to happen in future. Thank you very much, sir, and thank everyone for giving this opportunity, and I thank all the audiences who are present from every corner. Thank you very much and have a good day, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I must say that was a very great session. I would like to thank all our esteemed speakers, Mr. Pramod Chandra Modi, Mr. Kamlesh Chandra, Mr. V. Muralidharan, and Mr. Pallav Gupta, and ICC Chairman for Western Region, Mr. Ameya Prabhu, for leading this discussion. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.